Happy New Year, friends, and welcome back to Seek at Home. I hope you all had a happy, healthy, and safe holiday season. This month's theme here at the Society is expansion. You might recall last year in Seek at Home, we spent some time getting to know who we are and what we value as individuals, because every person is important and unique. And there are few better ways to appreciate differences in others than to get to know your own individuality and uniqueness. This week, I'd like to start expanding our thinking from ourselves to issues within our community. Why? Because as ethical humanists, we strive to achieve peace and justice for all humans. And just like we examined our own uniqueness and individuality as practice for seeing those things in others, we can look for opportunities to achieve peace and justice in our own communities as practice for helping people in communities worldwide. So, St. Louis. I love St. Louis. Like many of you, I've lived here my whole life, and thanks to grandparents who made sure I was exposed to all kinds of incredible culture and history that our city has to offer, I know a lot about St. Louis. But St. Louis has its problems too, and I realized recently that there are a few things in St. Louis that many of my peers and I don't know the full story about. Some of these stories are sad ones that rob our citizens of peace and justice. And many of those stories are still in progress, but little attention is given to them. This is the case with the West Lake Landfill in North County. In 1942, the government selected St. Louis as a processing center of uranium for the first atomic bombs. Over the next 25 years, the radioactive waste from this processing was moved to sites throughout the northern suburbs of St. Louis and dumped into Bridgeton's West Lake Landfill in North St. Louis County. The landfill now contains 47,000 tons of radioactive waste, including uranium, thorium, and radium. In 1990, the EPA designated the site a Superfund site, which is a term given only to the most contaminated sites in the country. But very little work has been completed to decontaminate the area or to contain the spread of radioactive material. Through weather, like rain and wind, and contamination of creeks that ran near the dump sites, these dangerous elements have been affecting nearby neighborhoods and subdivisions for generations. Many people who live in the area are able to list a multitude of neighbors, family, children, classmates, even pets being affected by or even dying from rare cancers in large numbers as early as the 1960s. In 2010, a fire began smoldering underground on the Bridgeton side of the landfill. This fire is expected to burn until at least 2024. And it's approaching areas where large deposits of the radioactive materials are buried. It's unknown how igniting those materials will affect the potency of the contamination or the rate and distance at which those particles could spread. In the meantime, the EPA and other agencies and political figures assure the residents that they're safe. But in the 2 zip codes surrounding the landfill, studies have shown that the occurrence of childhood brain cancers are 3 times the nation's average. Some residents who've had their homes professionally tested are discovering radioactive contamination at levels more than 1,000 times above what's considered dangerous. And with the fires approaching those large deposits of the radioactive material, many people expect the physical risks to our neighbors in the area of that landfill to increase. Today, people in North St. Louis continue to contract and die of rare cancers linked to nuclear radiation. There are groups like Just Moms STL and in conjunction with the Pattonville Fire Protection District who fought diligently for years to get the government to bring more testing and cleanup of the contamination to the area. Some of their efforts have been successful, including the EPA agreeing to a 5-year cleanup process to start next year. But the area has a long way to go before our North St. Louis neighbors can have peace and justice in relation to the West Lake Landfill. To learn more about the West Lake Landfill, you can visit the Just Moms STL page at stlradwastelegacy.com. Also, check out the documentary Atomic Homefront, currently streaming on HBO Max. And whether you watch a documentary or not, please join Just Moms STL and St. Louis County Library on Thursday, January 14th at 6 p.m. for a virtual discussion exploring the ongoing impact of radiation exposure on North St. Louis communities. I'll put a link to that event on our Facebook pages and our weekly e-blasts. Meanwhile, we've arrived at our Seek Quest of the month. There are many reasons why some important issues in one part of our area go unnoticed, but a really common one is simply that often only the people being directly impacted by the problem know about it. If we don't know about injustices that our neighbors face, we can identify the opportunities for our ethical humanist values to make positive change. So this month, our quest for our seekers, young and less young alike, is to just make us aware. We want to know what injustices you see in your own neighborhood. They don't have to be as big and scary as a radioactive landfill. Maybe you've noticed something that just makes it hard for people in your area to succeed in general. Send your thoughts our way at seek@ethicalstl.org, and we'll compile them into an interactive resource for our Ethical Society congregation to reference, learn from, and act on. The more opportunities we have to help, the more we can do to improve St. Louis for everyone. Thanks for joining us again this week. And until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep your eyes open for chances to bring peace and justice to our neighbors.